write them down, but the Spirit brought them back to my mind. And as I was listening to the apostles and the bishops, it kind of jarred that spirit back, for the lesson for today. And I was just sitting here thinking about a title, and what came to mind was "You Pestilent Israelites." And this is something that was said to the Apostle Paul, which we're going to get to, Lord's will. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's get that first, and then we'll jump to the scripture that chapter 24. We're going to start at the first verse. This is an individual, Tertullius, which was an eloquent orator. So he was a very learned man. He knew how to put his words together. The Apostle Paul was a man that was rude in speech. He didn't look the part. The letters that he would write, you would think that this man was a strapping, 7-8 foot individual, muscles on top of muscles, and but when they saw him, they said that he didn't look the part. It kind of, on a small scale reminded me of the movie Braveheart. When they said, when he told him he was William Wallace, they looked at him like, "You were William Wallace?" He said, "Yeah," because they expected somebody to be like a big giant, to kick ass, And he said, "Yeah, what do you expect, for me to," I forget what he says, or have fire shoot out my ass or something like that. So the men of the Lord, are not, they don't look the part. Remember, King David, that's another example of humility. So the men of the Lord were always lowly. Oh, that was the scripture, Barakateh, how shall I say, "I thank thee, Father, for you have hid this knowledge from the wise and prudent and has revealed it unto babes." The babes are the insignificant ones. So this individual, Tertullius, which we're about to read about, he was an eloquent orator, and his job was to try to confound the Apostle Paul, by this, eloquent speech. And that's why later on, when we get to Corinthians, when he was writing the letter to them, and the Apostle Paul would always, even to the different letters he wrote, he will always, push the fact that, look, when I'm writing to you, I'm not writing to you by man's wisdom, because this individual came with man's wisdom, Tertullius. But the Apostle Paul came in the humility of the Spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, just like King David came and defeated Goliath, in humility, in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Well, back then it was Yahweh. So Acts 24:1, it says, "And after 5 days, Ananias, the high priest, descended with the elders." Now this more than likely had to be the same high priest, with Caiaphas, because there was two of them back then that gave Yahushai up, because this wasn't too far, into the future. He would have been older now, It says descended with the elders and with a certain orator named Tertullus. See, so this was a Jake that was well spoken. Probably had a very charismatic spirit. Probably was he probably had was dressed to a T. He had the right look. He knew how to say the right words. But the Lord said that he would, take away the eloquent orator from us. It says, who informed the governor against Paul. And that's the point. Why? Because going back, reflecting back on the what they call the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and Sadducees, the council that they had, doctors, the lawyers, scribes, so on and so forth. That was the scriptural learning way back then. All right. So that's why when you go back and you try to get examples in history, you'll run into this, because that was what was in. All right. So that's why when you go back and you try to get examples in history, you'll run into this, because that was what was established back then. But that's not how Yahushua came up. They said, how they reasoned among themselves, how knoweth this man letters having never learned? We never seen him in any of the the schools that we were brought up in. He's about our age, You know, he's a little younger or a little older. You know, we never seen him up in them in these different places of, you know, where we learned the scrolls and we learned about the law and the traditions and the customs of the elders. He wasn't there. We didn't ever see him there, because that's not that's not the way the Most High set it up for his message to be pushed. His message is going to be totally different from anything else that the world is going to speak on. That's why the Lord said, "My peace I leave with you, not as the world leaveth, leave I with you." You know, so this knowledge is going to be something totally different from what the world is used to, and it's going to disrupt, you know, the natural course of the world. So when you hear these devils speak about, you know, they speak about Christian worldviews. Well, we don't deal with Christian worldviews, because Christian worldviews don't deal with the scriptures. Christian worldviews will quote the scriptures, but they'll take the scriptures out of context. And then they're hypocrites, because they'll accuse us of cherry picking, but they do the same exact thing. But the difference is, when we go in there, and the cherry picking we do is cherry picking in a way that's to bring forth the understanding of the scriptures, line upon line, precept upon precept. They do it, and they're trying to patch stuff together, and it doesn't work like that. All right? You're not qualified to philosophize. Inside joke, or however the saying goes. And when he was called forth, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, "Seeing that by thee we enjoy great quietness," now this is him sucking up to Felix, "and that very worthy deeds are done unto this nation by thy providence, we accept it always and in all places, most noble Felix, with all thankfulness, notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency a few words. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow." Why? Just like the Pharisees and them wicked ones, where they found Yahushua a pestilent fellow. Because when he did that great miracle, there was nothing that they could say to cover that up, because it was witnessed by a bunch of Israelites back then. So he said, "What are we going to do with this man? A notable miracle has been done, but if we don't do something, the Romans are going to come and take our place, because they set us up to keep the order. But this man, you know, the people are going to follow him instead of following us. So what do we got? We got to get rid of this man." And that's pretty much what the consensus is about the Israelites today, because these devils are in great fear because of this knowledge that's coming out, and it's so intense that they're trying to send, you know, some of their top guys to try to stop it, and it's backfiring on them. It's backfiring on them. You know, you have the choo-choo train smoker, you know, Wilson, whatever the hell that devil's name is. You know, he's just a person that just argues. He's not a person that reasons. He just argues. Whatever you say, he's not going to accept it. He's going to find some argument to try to rebuttal it. His thing is not about getting down to the nitty gritty. His thing is about arguing, you know, arguing till you get tired of arguing with him. You can have that, dog. Facts are facts. So when we look up this word pestilent, and I'm going to come back, you know, read the rest of that. The word pestilent goes back to the word loimos, which is like pestilence or a plague. All right, because we're considered to be a plague to these devils. Pestilence, a pestilent fellow, pest, plague. You know, so it could be applied to an actual plague, like the bubonic plague, the pneumonic plague, or it could be applied to a person that is like a plague that you can't get rid of. And this message is powerful. Yahushua said, you know, "I will give you a mouth with wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able to gainsay nor resist." So if when you get a plague, the one thing you want to do is stomp it out, and that's what these devils are trying to do. They're trying to stomp out, you know, the Israelites, you know, from teaching this word. Now you have their loimos, you know, pretty much a pest, someone that is a pest. Okay, and I believe that was it on that. So let's go back. Let's read that again. Let's finish that off, and then let's go to the first precept. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world of Israel. You know, so they were like, he's trying to accuse him to get him convicted so that they can get rid of the Apostle Paul. It says, and the ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes, who also have gone about to profane the temple, whom we took, meaning they grabbed the Apostle Paul up, and would have judged according to our law, but the chief captain Lysias came upon us, and with great violence took him away out of our hands, because the Apostle Paul was a Roman citizen. So he had certain status where he could use his Roman citizenship to get out of certain situations. And that's exactly what he did when he said that he was a Roman and that he appealed to Caesar, because they wanted to put him to death, back then. So when he appealed to Caesar, they couldn't put him to death, so he had to go through the proper channels. And eventually he knew he would be freed from them and would be brought to Rome. And that's where, the history says that the Apostle Paul
as it
died
is written
in Rome, commanding his accusers to come unto thee, by examining of whom thyself mayest take knowledge of all these things whereof we accuse him. And the Jews also assented, saying that these things were so. So pretty much, what was it? What was the reason for the accusation? To get rid of the Apostle Paul. Why? Because he was putting a damper. He was causing a friction. He was rocking the boat. All right. He was bringing in that interference. So Isaiah 29 and 16, this is the Lord speaking to Esau today, about what they've done, because the system that Esau has in place right now, politically, religiously, so on and so forth, is totally contrary to what should be or how it should be. But being that they're the wicked and the earth was given into them, they have the power to do what they do, and they didn't do the right thing because it's not in them to do the right thing. So the Lord said, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay, right? Because you are the clay. The Most High Yahweh is the potter. You are the sword. The Most High is the one that's swinging it. You are the axe. The Most High is swinging the axe. You are the hammer. The Most High is, beating the hammer. Not the other way around. So when we look up this word, turning of things upside down, the word there is hapak, right? Hapak means perverseness, perversity. When something is perverse, means that it's not taught the right way. Something different is taught. So what we see in this world that's supposed to be righteousness is really not. That's why in the book of Isaiah it says, woe to him that calls evil good and good evil. And that's what Esau has done. And since he has the power to say what is and what ain't, he was able to establish a curriculum that the world must follow in order to be recognized as being a teacher or as being a influence or an authority in teaching the Bible. But the Lord doesn't recognize that, because he said the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. Now this word goes back to a root word, hapak. And I want to go here because this one here goes a little bit deeper into it. The root word, hapak, says to turn, overthrow, overturn. What have they overturned or turned over? The truth. That's why it says that the truth shall be without fruit for a long time, but afterwards it's going to be declared, because the truth is coming out now. It says to overturn, overthrow. Let's just jump down right here. To change, transform. So they have changed or transformed this truth. Now the Israelites did that the Israelite foreigners. That's why it says who turned the truth of the Most High into a lie. And that's what Jake did back then. But Esau today is doing that when they set up what the elder pastor coined the Renaissance Christianity. And Renaissance Christianity, in turn, was embedded into the Israelites by way of the plantation. And that's why he also calls it plantation Christianity, which is nothing more than white supremacy. All right? So they changed it. So surely your changing of things, the turning of things upside down, shall be esteemed as a potter's clay, because in the long run, the Lord is going to turn everything right side up. And he is doing that first and foremost by exposing you through the prophets. All right? Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 25. You had the world in dark. Hey, remember when the matter of fact, now you know what? Instead of speaking about it, let's get it. Revelation 13 and 3. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death. That was the Roman Empire, and his deadly wound was healed through America and the allies that came from Western Asia, or so-called Europe. And all the world wondered after the beast. So pretty much the whole world, even us at one time, were all caught up into this man's spell. Everyone was into Christianity in one way, shape, form, or another. But then when the Lord spoke and we heard that voice behind us, the Lord allowed us to turn around and stop following, Esau's ways. So that was the very thing that changed the course of history, so to speak, is when Esau got up in the Renaissance and started deceiving the whole world. And they got the whole world. But now the elect of the nation of Israel are waking up. Isaiah 25 and 7, and he, meaning the Most High, will destroy or destructure, break apart, break down in this mountain, meaning America, the government of America, the face of the covering cast over all people. So there was a face. Another word for face would be facade. A facade would be like when you're walking by a building and you see the outside of the building. It has the building might be trash inside, but the outside might look pristine. The facade is something that you have, as a cover. Let's just type in facade. So, to give you let's see, definition, right? The front of a building. See, any face of a building given special architectural treatment, a way of behaving or appearing that gives other people a false idea of your true feelings or situation. See, so it's a face that you put on. So what is the Lord doing? He's systematically, by the truth that is increasing, breaking down that face or that facade or that front that Esau has put up. And it's been cast over all people because it was given to the beast to have all the world wonder after them. And the veil that is spread over all nations. So the Lord is peeling all of that back. He's exposing these devils. And that's how the truth is moving forward. Because of this great exposure that the Lord, has given to his prophets to bring out. All right. Now, let's go back. It says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay, for shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not, or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? So the Lord set you up as a whooping stick. He set you up to deceive the whole world. Your very first mission, when you got out of that prison sentence, was to deceive the whole world. And you've done a great job. All you got to do is type in God, type in, so-called Jesus, or type in so-called Christ, and you're going to see that's going to be pictures of white people coming up. You type the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a great time of Esau, of their artwork, which was them putting themselves up as the Most High, as Yahushua, as the angels, as the Israelites. And that's how they got the world to bow to them. That's how they got the world to venerate them, through this great deception. And that's one of the greatest gifts or blessings of the serpent outside of the sword, is deception. And that's what they did. So the Lord is exposing you. So lock it for a minute. Salaki for that. So let's move on. Psalms chapter 82, verse 5. They know not, neither will they understand. So Esau's not going to understand. The wicked will not understand. They walk on in darkness, because although they are the light bearers, or Lucifer, or the Illuminati, they're still in darkness, even though they think that they are in the light, even though they call themselves Luciferians and all of that. They're still in darkness because they won't give the Most High the glory. They go. Some of them go so far as saying that there is no God, that the Most High is dead. They'll tell you all kind of crazy shit. All the foundations or the strongholds of the earth are out of course. Why? Because Esau brought them out of course. And that goes from your so-called education system, your political system, your religious system. Everything that you see on the earth is corrupt. You know, the ecosystem, everything is corrupt. Everything is out of course. But now the Lord is setting the course back in order. And the first step to that is the exposure of Esau. Let's go real quick to 2 Thessalonians 2. And this whole chapter is bad, but we're just going to go straight to the point. And 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed. So there is a particular people on the planet Earth that are known as the wicked. When you go to Malachi 1 and verse 4, you can start at the first verse. The fourth verse lets you know that Esau, or the Edomites, are the borders of wickedness. So wherever you see these Edomites at in the world, that's where the wicked dwell. So it says, then shall the wicked be what? Revealed for who they really are. And that's where the Lord is pulling the veil back, and peeling the veil back and allowing certain ones of us to see who the devil really is. It says, whom the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which is what? His prophets. I will give you passages according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And the job of the prophets is to expose these devils. And not only just to expose them, but to actually read the sentence them, expose them and sentence them. And we're pretty much at the ending of the sentencing stage. Next step would be for the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to judge them. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Because after, you expose someone,
enlighten,
you read the charges to them, you sentence them to the penalty that they're going to receive for their crimes. The next part of that is the judgment. And that's what we're waiting for. And the judgment is going to be